All right, has anybody, you all have all been to a ZBA before? Okay,
Sure.
let me just tell you briefly what a ZBA does. We're a zoning board of adjustment. So we provide relief for property owners who think the zoning ordinance should not apply, or some portion of the zoning ordinance should not apply to their particular piece of property.
We have not done anything like that.
Right. People often confuse planning board and zoning board. Nothing alike. They're completely different. We're a quasi judicial body. So you think of this as a trial court, essentially, I mean, we don't ask for that standard of behavior. That'd be crazy. But the point is, we have to follow some particular rules about what we can and can't do. We have some rules laid out in state law about how we have to consider variance requests. I don't think we have any exceptions today. We're not being asked about exceptions, are we?
No.
Okay, so we just have 3 variances and an appeal to hear. The way it'll work is we'll have 3 hearings. During the hearings, we'll handle each hearing separately, and we'll hear from the applicant first. Then one of the board members will put a motion on the table to approve or deny the variance, just so that we can start the discussion process. Then we'll discuss it. We'll go through our 5 criteria. We'll try to find some facts and base our recommendations on those facts. When we take action, no individual has power on the board. We can't do anything about zoning law. We contribute to the board's action. So we are voting. The board is the body that takes the action. I say that because we have had some conflict in the past where people have gotten upset with individual board members for the way they voted. What else to say? Is there anything else I need to point out?
You might. We read them, but you might read the 5 criteria. I've been thinking we ought to publish those 5 criteria so people know them in advance.
Okay. We do have them published in a number of places. They're in all the applications that people fill out to come before the board. I'll read them out real quick right now. I won't describe them or talk about them, but you'll hear us mention these later on in the hearings. We will attempt to extract a list of facts, what we call it the findings of fact, from the applicant's presentation and from questioning we do later on, and from our own knowledge of the area and from expert testimony. Basing our opinions on those facts, we will evaluate these 5 criteria for each variant, and we must believe that these criteria have all been proven by the applicant, that they have met these criteria. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest. The spirit of the ordinance is observed, to the general spirit. Substantial justice is done. Thanks. The values of surrounding properties are not diminished. Literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. All these words have been tested in court, and the judges have, Supreme Court of New Hampshire has given us volumes of case law to help us understand how we're supposed to evaluate all those terms. For example, unnecessary hardship has a particular meaning in this context, etc. That's all we got. I'm Mike Dean. I'm your, I'm going to say bus driver for tonight, but I'm not. I'm the chair of the zoning board. We elect officers every year. This is Susan Brown. She's my vice chair. Madeline Johnson, Dan Regan, Bill Finger. Whitney Banker is our minutes taker, and Rob Taylor is the administrator. Rob does the administration for both the zoning board and the planning board. I don't know if I'm going to be able to tolerate that. I love babies. I have my own, but I don't know if we can have that going on. Thank you. Rob, will you read the introduction to the first meeting, please?
Sure. May I make a comment?
Yes, please.
Would it be helpful to consider their case first with the baby?
Who are they?
It is the.
Barnes, Chandler, or Snyder?
Yes, Chandler, 84 on 4A.
Yours is gonna, my sense is yours is gonna take a bit.
Great, check it out.
I'll try and zoom on my phone out in the car. Fine.
Uh, just hang
She
out.
won't- she won't quiet.
We'll see. We'll see. If it gets too bad, you know, we'll
Well,
see.
maybe she could hang out in the other room.
Maybe. Well, let's just see how it goes. All right. Does anybody mind if the Barnes go first? I'm sorry, the Chandlers go first? All right, come on up, Chandlers. Let's hear your presentation.
I'll read the warning.
Yes, please.
This
Should I
is-
stand or sit or?
You guys can have a seat right here.
Have a seat.
This is Enfield Land Use Case C 24-08-02. Adam Chandler has applied for variance relief from Enfield zoning ordinance, Article 4, Section 401.1, Paragraph L, to construct a home addition within the required setback to a lot line and further to build up one level within said setbacks. Subject property is 0.11 acre and is located at 84 New Hampshire Route 4A, map 18, lot 5 in the R1 zoning district. Parcel is owned by Adam C. Chandler. Since the Chandler's right here.
Hello, Chandlers.
Hello.
Do you have a presentation you'd like to give?
Just a few remarks, if that's okay with you. How much time do I have?
You have all the time. you need.
Well,
92 seconds.
that sounds great. I got my phone sitting on the,
Matilda wants to make a presentation.
To say-
Yeah, I try not to run over much more than 5 or 10 minutes.
oh, no, just a minute or two just to introduce,
Okay.
what we're trying to achieve. So,
Sometimes we have to set time limits, but I think we're okay.
please just let me know if I go too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been living at this location for 8 years. My wife is from Lyme. I'm from Florida. I converted about 12 years ago to New Hampshire. And our home
That can't really be done, right?
has been, I'm always a flatlander, I understand.
25 years, I'm still a biscuit in the oven. I'm still kidding.
And we've been living there for a while. We have, I guess for us, a hardship in that we have a growing family now and our home is, around 700 square feet of livable space. Sorry. And, it's okay. She knows the whole story. So, we have 700 square foot livable space and we have 2 variance requests for you tonight. The first one is we would like to go up a level, allowing for us to have, a second and third bedroom for our baby and for an office. And then the other variance request is to remove, a second bedroom that exists today that really is a part of the original 1930s, bungalow, and it has no installation, it has a dirt floor, so it's kind of, end of life for all intents and purposes. And so we're gonna remove that and in its place, put a single car garage. The issue is the garage is a little bit deeper than the second bedroom. And so even though we're grandfathered into a certain footprint that encroaches on our neighbor's property by the variance, letter of the law, we're gonna need a little bit of space in front of that bedroom for the garage. And that's gonna be basically a footprint growth of our home. And if Rob could pull up the document was submitted, showing the kind of the before and after.
I had trouble understanding part of it.
Yeah, if you were wondering why people were in your drives in
Well,
the past few
I've
days.
driven by, because I always go look so I can see it in 3
That's great.
dimensions. And it's that
Great.
up on the hill. But there already is a garage there, isn't there?
There's not a garage currently, it's dirt and then a second bedroom above it.
So
But it looked like there was a garage door on it.
What color,
this
what's
is the
the,
road.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
So this is the road here on,
Oh.
on the drawing, which is, where's, oh, 4A is there. Okay, got it. Sorry.
See the green
So
bump out?
Yeah, yeah,
green,
so-
green is our current.
4A is there, it's narrow,
Give me
Yeah.
a second.
but it's way up on a hill.
Wayne's,
That's,
France.
that's,
And I didn't quite understand
It
What-
sounds like a free-for-all discussion sometimes, but it's really not. If
this.
you all want to ask a question or say something, please raise your hand and I'll call on you
I
when
don't,
it's appropriate.
didn't understand the first part I understood, you wanna put another story on. The whole thing?
Just the main building picture on the left-hand side here where the propane tank is over to the left. On the computer screen.
Portion here.
Oh, that's what I thought was a garage. It's a double door.
Uh,
Yeah,
And that's a walkout basement currently. It's not finished.
So essentially you're filling in that little sort of L in front of the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and
and
then going behind it.
going behind it. What's the brown thing in the back of the house?
So our neighbor's property where that fence is on the right-hand side actually goes up and around us, kind of like New York State does around New England. So her property goes behind ours.
So that's another house.
It is a garage, actually, two-car
This
garage.
is their lot.
Yeah,
This is the neighbor's property that wraps around.
yeah,
So that is the house up here and it's not part of this discussion.
the house is
The
off,
house off the property, the house is not part of this discussion.
right, but that,
That brown is not part of this.
no, but it's a house.
It's a garage.
Question.
It's a garage.
It's a
It's brown.
structure, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
Are those abutters here?
They've submitted a letter, but they're not here tonight.
Okay,
that's in your packet, right? The
Yes, sir.
handwritten letters.
Yeah,
Pekarsky is the last name.
Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, what I'm looking at it from Route 4A, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then across the street, there's another lot with another house that has the water frontage. So you don't have any water frontage.
I
right?
do not.
Okay, got it.
it's that, I think it's that brown house that says no parking.
You park there?
No. No, I don't get out of the car when I go live, but I need to see it in 3 dimensions.
Mr. Chairman, what is the current height of your house?
I don't actually have that number in front of me. It is just based on just guesstimation, I'm sorry, roughly 35 feet or so.
35 feet. And what is the proposed height that you're,
So we'd be going up one level at a standard level with a standing seam roof, so going up an extra 15 feet, I would guess.
to go from roughly 35 to 50?
Yeah, I'm not a contractor, so I don't, the minutes may be,
You know, I mean,
Off by 5 feet.
It doesn't look like a 35-foot tall house to me, but
well, where are you counting 35 from?
In our ordinance, we count from the lowest part of the building, so down at the bottom of that tank,
Okay,
all the way up to the peak of the proposed roof.
okay.
That's how our ordinance does it.
So you right now, you estimate that to be roughly 35, and you think you're going up to about 50.
that's correct. And my estimate's based on, I have a 30-foot ladder that reaches the front of that eave where I
Yeah.
clean snow off the
Okay.
roof, so.
Thank you.
Way above Route 4A, that you have to go up a hill to get to where that car is. That's not level with 4A. And it's pretty well blocked by the hill and the bushes. You gotta really look to find it.
How does this help us?
See,
How is this relevant?
it's relevant because if you're thinking about the height, everything's really higher from the road.
Yeah, but we measure from the bottom of the structure, not from the road.
Yeah,
So we go from the bottom of the structure to the peak of the roof.
and so the total would be 50 feet.
Is what he's asking.
Yeah.
May I make should I make a motion to approve of,
Well, they're asking for 2 variances, so we need to,
all right, should we do the height one first? To make a motion to approve, what's,
Second,
to approve, does that have a separate number? To it, okay. The,
Rob, we need to go to both. Section out.
oh, we need to vote to separate the variances, don't we?
Adam, is that okay with you if we separate these into two?
I
separate areas?
assumed you would, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right, so your chair is making a chair decision. Split this into 2 variance requests. One of them for the height variance and one for the area variance.
Well, in that case, maybe it makes sense to do the area one
I
first.
think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, let's deal with the area variance first.
The area variance.
Second,
What's your proposed square footage for the new building?
So the new building, I'm sorry, my wife is here, she can give you an exact number. But the new building will grow from, I think
You
it's,
couldn't be bothered to attend.
I think, we'll have about 2,200 square feet total, and that includes the one-car garage that's not finished.
So we're concerned with the footprint of the building,
Of
not the
course.
living space or the
I see.
square footage,
Alright.
2 or 3 feet.
So I can actually do some quick math here. So,
Yeah, that's what I'm after.
So 50,
Can we say as the footprint as in the drawing attached on page whatever of the application?
We could do, but I want to write the facts down,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I am a little cranky tonight.
I don't
know if you
mind,
guys
don't
well,
mind
right
at all.
ahead, Frank.
All right,
I don't mind at all. I'm tough.
I don't know why. You said 792 square feet. Oh, that's livable.
that's livable space. Yeah, that's not, send her a message and ask. I'm sorry, that's taking a second.
Yeah, take your time. We courier message out, parking lot, she's out there.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you, though.
You know the dimensions of the house?
Text.
I have one of them, just 56 feet is one of them.
Here's your, dimensions right there.
All right. Oh, well, that will work just fine because they're talking about filling in that area. So you've got 24 plus 12 will be, the new dimension will be 36 by 29.
Plus the red and yellow squares, so one that looks.
Oh, right, it goes further out.
Correct.
So that's 16 plus, I suppose that's
Well, she was,
squares that are another 16 feet, is that correct?
the measurements on the attached colors that, is the distance between, our abutter's property and the finished
Oh,
building.
sorry, not
So
the,
Yeah.
sorry, okay.
So I only have one of your measurements, not the other one.
I think we're looking at the orange and red that stick out the back is another. Assuming you did this to scale.
It was, yes, sir. So she's saying the building footprint will be 1,050 square feet.
The new one?
Yes. It seemed right to me, but
From 700?
Wonderful.
No, you said 700 was the
90,
livable
90.
space. That's not the same as the
If only
footprint.
we had a calculator.
So what you wanna do is put those two orange spaces on
And the yellow.
and the yellow, and you're gonna tear off the green thing that's sticking out there.
No,
It's
they're not
green
gonna tear
here.
off. They're not gonna tear it off. They're gonna,
They're gonna, you take out the second.
All right, 792 is current. According to the tax map. And. I'm estimating you're gonna add on. Can I have that tax map back up there?
Yeah.
Thanks, but.
but is 792 the livable space or the footprint space? It seems,
That's
if
what-
I'm not mistaken, they're two different things, because if it's on more than one story, the footprint area might be different from the total living area,
Right, I'm
correct?
doing the footprint.
Okay,
I did the arithmetic for the footprint.
okay.
24 by 10, 240. Be with you in a moment. Thank you for your continued patience. I get 936. But I'll take her word for it. So doing the math with my estimates of what their addition sizes are gonna be. This bit here, I can only estimate. But this bit here, we can know about from the dimensions on that
Right.
map. And it comes out to very close to 1,000 feet, so I'm gonna go with her estimate of 1,050. Okay, Rob, what are the setbacks there?
20 street, 15 side lot boundary.
So the existing structure is not compliant.
So they make the setback from the road.
They make the setback from the road, yeah. So you said,
They don't make the setback
It's on
from
the side.
Pekorski on the right.
Correct.
that's what I think too. They're just making the setback to the road. I think we're looking at this. That's the road setback. And the side setback. We have 5
6,
and
5, 4.5, and 4.
that whole little porch on the right there is in the setback. The rest of the building is not. On the left-hand side, a good portion of the building is in the setback.
That's not a question.
It's not, but what I'm looking at is you've got a 52-foot wide lot and 30 feet of that is taken up with setbacks, leaving 22 feet of buildable area. Just doing some numbers. That gives me a better sense of what we're looking at.
Mr. Chandler, the far right, the portion that's sticking out, see the far right, how many feet are we looking at there?
It says
So this is
12 and
It's on-
12.
12 and 8. 12 feet by 8 feet is the space of that second bedroom.
Okay, so the right side, the part that is parallel with your lot line is 8 feet.
Yes.
Here, it's right there, right.
Eight
That's
feet,
me.
gotcha. So it's 8 feet now, and when we add on the orange, both the upper
You'll
and
be
the
adding
lower.
6 here. This is 6. So you'd be adding 6 times, be adding,
6 and 20, right? 6,
right,
or more than 20, actually, because it's going beyond that. So I'm trying to determine is right now you've got 8 feet that you're over the line. And we're gonna be adding 26 feet. So if we go to the upper and the lower,
So that's correct. Yes.
we'd be adding 26.
Yes.
They're looking to add 252 square feet of building in the setback. That's what I'm seeing. Right now, they're 96 square feet in the setback.
are you doing finding a fact?
I am.
I'd like to add a fact, and I'm gonna pass this around because this is relevant to, the other case we have in 4A. Yeah. And that is, are you ready? Mike?
Yes, ma'am.
That is that stretch of 4A is part of the Enfield Shaker Village Scenic Byway.
Is the road designated a scenic byway? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And like, I ask a question just out of ignorance. What does a scenic byway do to our zoning?
Doesn't do anything, but it doesn't do anything. It just,
Information.
this is when we talk about things like the character of the neighborhood
Yeah.
and all, but that's a scenic byway.
As to the scenic byway, since it's so far up the hill from the road. And
Well, we can discuss that, but I'm
Yeah.
just, I'm just saying that is part of the context as we discuss things like the character of the neighborhood.
is the. I think it's one of the, in all these crowded houses.
I think we can discuss it, but I just wanted to make that as part of the facts that.
Yeah.
Thank you. This doesn't intrude on wetlands. We're not talking about buffers or anything, are we?
Mike, can I ask another question?
Yeah, please.
Regarding that?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, you suggesting you're would like to add another bedroom, so one bedroom or two you'd like to add?
It would be two because we're lobbing one off, basically, and replacing it with a garage. So the level going up, we have a 2 bedrooms.
So right now you have a 2-bedroom house and you want to make it a 4-bedroom house.
It's really,
It's a 4-bedroom house, I believe. Nope, third bedroom, 3.
There's currently 3,
There's 2 bedrooms, we'll go to 3.
there's 2 and you'll go to 3, so that's only adding 1 bedroom.
Yes,
Okay.
The net gain is 1 bedroom, right?
And you're on town sewer.
yes, we are.
You have any plans for drainage since this is on a slope?
We do. So today there's a drain that drains into the sewer that's in front of our house on 4A. We have plans, actually, the design of this, by going back a little bit, is actually going to, and you can't see it because it's hidden from view, but today there's a large slope that kind of goes into 7 feet of nothingness and a lot of water pools back there. So we're gonna actually eat up that space, a little bit of the concrete, and expanding that space going backwards, which won't be a part of the variance tonight, but that will solve the problem of adding proper drainage into the stream or into the drain in front of our house.
Where's the stream?
There's a stream to the left of the building if you're facing it. That goes into Mascoma Lake.
To the left,
that
which
is
cardinal direction is that?
part of it,
So that would be to the
South,
south.
would be here.
And it's important to note we do not have DES approval yet, so we were waiting for this to submit an application.
Shoreland permit,
They'll need a shoreline permit?
0 to 250 feet.
Oh, okay,
Not in a buffer, but they're in the shoreline protection.
okay.
Buffer, we say, no, you can't build in here. The protection means they have to get approvals.
To do the.
Yeah, you have to do extra stuff. Something I didn't point out when I was doing my spiel at the beginning, and this will come up again tonight a number of times, is that we're not granting these fine people permission to build onto their house. We are considering whether to allow the building footprint on this property to be expanded in a non-conforming use, and that permission will continue forever. So it's a change that we're making to the legally non-conforming use. So we have to consider not just what these people will do with the building. In fact, that's largely irrelevant. We have to consider what could be done within the zoning ordinance as it's written today, and what somebody could basically get away with and how that would affect the area. So I know that sounds like there's a whole lot of speculation in there, but it's
Sorry, can you just
fairly well
hold
informed.
that picture up there?
Oh, that is a good picture.
That's a good one, yeah.
That shows us.
Yeah.
You'll keep your solar, won't you?
Of course, yes.
Is that a porch with all those windows, like a sun porch?
When it was a camp, it was a porch, but we enclosed it and made it into part of the living space. But it is part of that 792 square foot of living space.
This is R1. But we still have the 1 parking space per bedroom rule. Our zoning ordinance.
No. It's 1.5 per domicile. So should be part of the right. Certainly 2 there.
Yeah, I'm not liking this footprint expansion. Pretty crowded along there. I'm not liking that.
wanna go through the,
Yeah.
You want,
so I made a motion to approve, we seconded
Yep.
it. Okay,
And Susan seconded it. The deadly DED. So what I have here written for finding the fact, I'll read these out. You guys correct, add, and then we'll go on to considering the criteria. The existing size is 792 square feet, proposed is 1,050 square feet. That change adds 252 square feet of intrusion into the side setback line. Setback buffer. They're requesting a variance for a 50-foot height as well as this area variance. The current height is 37 feet roughly. This property is in the R1 zone where there are 15-foot side setbacks and 20-foot front setbacks. It's not in a wetland buffer. Property's on a scenic highway. If you want the extra detail about which one, we'll put it in.
well, I mean, yeah,
Scenic highway.
it's not just us saying it's scenic, it's a
Yeah,
it's a thing,
yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
The scenic byway is a designated thing.
yeah.
Be clear with that by saying a desig.
Well, I should say it's the Enfield Shaker Village scenic byway.
Okay. They'd be adding one bedroom, increasing from 2 to 3 bedrooms. This property is on town water and sewer. The runoff from the building will be directed into the stream to the south or into the sewer catchment. Is that along the road? Is that right?
I had a change that's on a well. We have a well, but we're on town sewer. Apologies.
No, thank you. Town sewer.
And I'm sorry if I ignored your question.
No, you didn't.
but you have a well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put down, I'm gonna change this fact to on town sewer, comma, private well. Are the other properties in the area roughly the same? Get that property map back up.
Mike, you have a hand in the back over there.
I have a hand in the back.
A comment from the public.
Yes, ma'am.
Most of the houses along there are 2 stories above. So actually, this house right here is smaller than most of the neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just get your name? I'm Janet Lovely, thank you.
Shannon Lovely? It is lovely.
Great.
Never heard that.
I'm sure she's never heard that before.
But he's,
Which one are we looking at there? The yellow one?
last time, one of those houses along there, and that's a place where the houses are incredibly small and crowded together on tiny little lots. I would have said that this house, if you put another bedroom on it and make it a little wider, will still fit the neighborhood quite nicely because it's such a crowded neighborhood. And those buildings all along there have been there for a long, long time. You said that house was built in the 30s,
1930.
1930. It's just the way the neighborhood is. And when you drive through there, there's houses.
For all twice. What I'm writing here is the observation that surrounding properties and houses are all close and small. They're all similarly sized. I think would be the most objective way of putting it.
It's a very dense area.
And she said they were 2 stories.
I call it thickly settled.
Well, Piotrowski house is 2 stories, isn't it?
It's just one living story, but they have, a in-law suite, if you would call it that, downstairs. It was used to be a garage, it's been converted, so now it's 2 stories.
Gross. Because it's all up on that hill.
Mhm.
And that hill is really close to the lake.
Do you think, would you like us to give you time to swap out with your wife? Does she, you think she wants to contribute
She's on.
anything else or she on?
Yep.
Okay.
Heather, if you have service, you can unmute yourself. I think you're being called to answer any questions. I don't know if that's possible.
I can try if you can hear me, but you've answered them pretty well. So if there are extra questions that you haven't been able to answer, I'm happy to try. I just can't promise that there won't be a baby squawking.
I'm so sorry about that. Okay, let's ask the public if anyone wants to make comment before we begin our deliberations. Do we have anybody here to speak specifically against or for either of these variances? We're gonna need your name.
Lou Hinault.
Lou Hinault.
I think it's gonna be an improvement to the property in the area. And it'll make a livable place. Which is really kind of small right now.
Mr. Hinault, where do you live?
Well, it's 6 and 7.
You're near that, you're in the neighborhood?
But you're not in a butter?
Almost,
Okay.
Henault?
yes. And 7 there.
He's in a butter. By definition of state nature.
Okay.
It's two
Oh, I
hundred-
see here, and all, okay.
Ms. Lovely, are you also speaking in favor?
Yes. And I live across the street, on the lakeside directly across from that. So we actually about.
So most of these were summer homes and now they're permanent homes, and that makes a difference to me.
Sure.
It does. Yes, sir.
Seem to be raised here, Chris.
Zalago ...
Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm Chris Zeligowski, and I live on 85 New Hampshire Route 4-way. I'm almost directly across from Adam and Heather, and we support this project.
Zalagowski,
Yep, good job.
Lovely, Hinault, and Zalagowski speak in favor. No one opposes.
And we have a letter from the press news to what's in.
Right.
And McCartan, both of butters.
Okay. What were those other two names?
Karski and
Kirsty, Pidkarski, I think.
And who's the other one?
McCartan, McCarten. They're at 79 Route 4A.
You've got their letter here also.
yes, it's part of the
Okay.
package.
Karski and McCartan. You're gonna have a job of work sorting out this list. Okay, criteria. We pull it out and read it out. So what we're considering right now is whether we should grant the area variance to expand from 792 square feet to 1,050 square feet, increasing the intrusion into the side setback line by 252 square feet of encroachment. And it'll bring the building right out to a little, even with the current intrusion. So it'll be, but it's gonna be a significant
So
increase.
on your drawing, I can't remember whether you said this side was outside, this was respected the setbacks. Is that correct?
No,
It is not.
that's about 10 feet inside, well, about 5 feet inside. the
5 feet
setback.
in, okay.
It's my estimate.
This one,
It's about 5 feet in.
But
Yeah.
that was built in 1930, we can't,
I understand that,
yeah.
but
Yeah, we're not talking about that. You're absolutely right.
But-
I was just trying to get a sense for how the lot's being used and. Okay. Would this variance be contrary to the public interest? If you believe it would, speak now.
I believe it would not.
That's good to say also. I do not believe this would be contrary to the public interest.
I don't think it'd be contrary either, and I think we've heard from a number of the neighbors that, they're all comfortable with it. Not worried about that particular criteria.
I concur. I don't think it'll change the character of the neighborhood in any detrimental way.
And as far as, say, the scenic thing, I don't think it'll change your, you know, as you drive along, you're not gonna see anything any different. The change in the you know, the outline of the house is not gonna, the sort of your perception of the massing of the house, I don't think is gonna change significantly.
Let me go back to Chandler for just a moment. If we don't approve your height variance, what's your situation?
We would need both variances. I'm not trying to strong arm anyone.
No.
We would need both variances approved to make it a living house for our family. If you were to only approve height and not the encumbrance or whatever you're calling, sorry, I'm not knowing the words correctly, but we would have to lob off that second bedroom and just replace it with a weird looking tower that's 12 by 8. It just wouldn't work with the design, so.
You could call it the tower room.
Just put a staircase with a crow's nest.
We'll give you 90 feet. You go up 3 stories in the tower room, okay?
Thank you.
What do you think? No? Okay, so we don't think it's contrary to the public interest. How about spirit of the ordinance? In particular, I'm thinking about crowding.
My question is, you know, they've got plenty of space here, you know, I understand it's a natural human tendency to sort of want to fill in, you know, spaces and make things square, but it seems as if they've got room to build back
To go back and.
without, you know, without doing particularly anything to the setbacks. And you could
Say
still,
that.
but, and you could still build hot, you know, you could still go up a little. Have you discussed this with an architect?
Yes, so we would have no issue, it's according to our footprint and variance status of going backwards and then going up, that was approved. The issue is that there's no way to have a garage, which doesn't seem requirement, but it is New England, so we can't go in Pekarsky's unit up her hill and go behind to park. That would be trespassing, and we can't go left or right. And so to build a garage, we would have to get your approval.
Cause you couldn't go under where those double doors are?
Correct.
You couldn't put a garage in there?
It's only about 8 or so feet above your head. When you walk in, there's only 8 feet or so from the slab to the living
Floor
area.
joist.
Yeah, thank you. Floor joist.
So you just have to limit yourself to MGs and flat cars.
The low car.
Right.
With the baby.
It's a fair point, though. I don't.
Sorry, just to add in, I did talk to a contractor about that option, but they told us that the slab for the basement also isn't thick enough for garage space where that is. Because we did consider that in order to not conflict with setbacks further.
So where's the garage gonna go?
So right where that silver car is on the park this way, facing the building.
Yeah.
Basically, the dirt in front of that would go away and you would be driving straight into a 1-car garage.
Is,
A garage under the, oh, gotcha.
is that a crawl space behind those double doors? You said it's 8 feet, but is it wide and it's a cellar and you've got junk down there and?
Correct. It's unfinished. That's where our laundry machine is basically. And our furnace.
You're gonna, okay, I see what you're doing. All right.
I think that the plan as it is makes more sense than going back. That what they want to do keeps everything closer to the center of household activity, where there's a kitchen and a place to eat and a place to watch TV and for the It makes more
really
sense to do what they're planning to do than to go back.
So I'll give you my perspective on this particular criteria. This is a really hard part of the job. I mean, come in here very well prepared, very professional in your presentation, your wife and your baby, beautiful, but our job is to answer these questions as best we can. I hear from the neighbors too, that people are for it. But the question before us is, the spirit of the ordinance is observed. And in my estimation, I look at Article 4 and I go to 413, the direction we get for non-conforming lots. And it says the lot may be built upon provided all other standards of the district in which it is located are met. So I then need to turn to 401, which is our direction for an R1 district. And that tells us that you can't be any closer than 20 feet to the street. You can't be any closer than 15 feet to your neighbors, and you can't go any higher than 35 feet. And we're going to increase the encroachment. I apologize for my use of words. Sometimes they're not correct. The encroachment on that 15-foot setback by 252 square feet. So I have to look myself in the eye and say, okay, is that the spirit of the ordinance? And just because we're already non-conforming doesn't mean we can add more non-conformity.
Right.
So I'm not comfortable that we are meeting the spirit of the ordinance. I'm really sorry to say that. I think you're gonna need to look for some alternatives from my point of view, and I'm only one person of 5.
Of
So
course, thank you.
Agreed.
Spirit of the ordinance is to avoid appearance of crowded houses. Wouldn't you agree? That's why we have the setbacks, is so there's space between the houses.
In this case, even like with respect to this property in the neighborhood, there's a number of spirits. It's a very haunted ordinance.
That may very well be true, but I mean, I think the reason they enacted the ordinance in the first place was to give space between houses to prevent them from overcrowding their lots.
I think that's the spirit that we're talking about here.
I
Go ahead.
think it's okay the way they want to do it. And that's from the historical point of view, that lot should never have been that narrow, but it is, and that's the way it's been. And that it's not that much more encroachment because there's a driveway next to it. It goes up to the house behind, so it isn't like they're hanging over their neighbor's windows. I think that the spirit of the ordinance was a good idea, but we didn't get zoning until 1991. And that house has been there a lot longer. And they want to live in Enfield and have their family there. So I think that part of the spirit of the ordinance is to make people comfortable where they live. So I would say that the spirit of the ordinance is fairly well observed, not 150%, but that it's
I'm with you.
fairly well observed because of the neighborhood it's in, but a large part of where I'm always coming from is the history of what's been there. If it was a new house, I'd say, no, you can't do it.
Oh, yeah.
But since it's built in 1930 and they want to be a family home and part of the town, I would say that the spirit of the ordinance is observed for the most part. That's what I would say.
My feeling about it is, that, as you say, we try not to add non-conformance to non-conformance. And my feeling is that they've got a great deal of land. They've got plenty of room to do other things. And I think we have cases here that come before us where there is no alternative that's not non-conforming. Is that right? Or there's no way. Whereas here, I think that they have, they've got 50 feet, they've got a lot of space here to build on
Arguably,
that. I mean,
one could take down that jutting out piece. and
Personally, that's
put an
what,
access back.
personally, that's what I would do, and this is why I say, have you spoken to an architect? Because I think that that would, from what I dealt with in the architecture projects that I've done, that makes a great deal more sense, also because it's clear that this little bit was just added on, and knowing how these houses around here are built, it may not even be particularly well built or even worth saving. So this thing, this thing,
Yeah, look,
that it's the little thing with the two windows.
sticky outfit on the right. That's-
So, you know, conceivably with the lot and the things you have, you could put an addition on here that would be completely conforming. And this is what we're here for people. This is the undue hardship, is that there's no alternative. There's no other way to do it. And I do feel in this case that you have a number of possible solutions available to you. You've got, you know, we could, you know, give you the height, and if you had the height and this, then you could, you know, considerably, you could get quite a bit of extra space out of it.
But not for a parking spot, basically.
That may be, but that's, our question is not to necessarily to respond to all your desires. It's to give you the possibility that we can give you with what the law allows you. We can give you the square footage. We can't tell you what to do with that, or, you know, give preference to say, well, we think, you know, a garage in your life, you need a garage more than a dining room. That's not for us to say. For us is to just simply talk about the square footage and what can be done with it.
Okay. The current design without a variance granted would make this property never be able to have a garage. I just want to make sure that's clear.
That's
Okay.
not that's not our concern, unfortunately, much as we'd all like to have a garage here, and lots of us can't.
That's the other tough part, is we get nice folks like you. We want to make the space available so that you can stay here in town, so that there's more housing, and yet we have to say, I can see alternatives. Number one, the Constitution of New Hampshire requires that we let you develop your property in a reasonable use. We've already got that, though. So now we turn to the other side of the fifth criteria, which says, if we deny this, it has to be because allowing it would violate would stop the ordinance from achieving some of its goals. And that has to be more valuable to the public than we think this is valuable to a property owner. And that's kind of where we're moving, I think.
We still got 3 more to look at.
We do. So spirit of the ordinance, the thing that you were talking about, I would call that in the spirit of harmonious development with the
I
land.
think so.
I don't know that I agree with you, but that's the language that we touch.
Can I finish what I was saying?
Yes, please.
So I think the spirit of the ordinance is to avoid, like I said, overcrowding, but his proposed addition is not going to demonstrably increase or decrease the space between his house and the house on the right. I mean, there'll be an increase in square footage, but the actual linear distance is not going to dramatically change.
It does change the sense of crowding, though.
Yeah.
You're occupying more space, more volume on the land, and when they put the second floor on, it's gonna look big. It's gonna feel tight. That's an opinion, obviously.
Can we put number 2 aside and go over 3, 4, 5 and then go back to number 2?
We can,
Would that advance our cause?
maybe.
Yeah.
Substantial justice is done.
If we, yeah,
And I feel that it's a question of our alternatives. Are there alternatives? And there are alternatives, and they're good alternatives that are conforming to the zoning ordinance.
but they can't have,
That's not, that's not for us.
Well,
That's not for us to decide. I mean, I don't have a garage. There's, well, I do actually have a garage, but a very strange one
Looking at
that
the change of the foundation.
Underground.
Footing, yeah, that's what we're looking at, is the change of the boundaries, not the quality of the building or the use that they're gonna put it to. It's a residential use, you gotta try to keep our mind focused on that line on the ground that's getting bigger, going over the line.
and as I say, there is ample space to put that square footage without
Yes.
even requiring a variance. Or I suppose it would because it, well, yes, anyway, or less of a variance.
So unless there's ledge under that, which would prevent them putting the garage under the front of the house anyway, I would have to imagine one could build a unpleasant to drive in the winter, but a driveway up through there to the back of the property, and you could put a garage back there along with the rest of the additions.
Well, didn't
mean, I
you say
can
that
see that
the
possibility.
architect said that wasn't possible?
This is a question I have for you all, is a driveway where that second bedroom exists, is that not requiring a variance? Because it's not building?
Yeah,
Okay,
you could put a driveway right through there,
okay.
switchbacks, little tram.
Could you put a garage under that?
We have had quotes for the amount of dirt they have to move to go backwards, and it's like 80,000. Now, it doesn't matter to you for this discussion, but we couldn't afford to move that much dirt out. That's our situation, but.
All right, let's go on to 4. The values of the surrounding property are not diminished. 3.
No,
Right.
I don't think it would
I don't think
affect
it would
them
affect the.
negatively.
Right. So that's a good thing. Literal enforcement of the provisions of this ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. Meaning,
Sorry.
please go ahead.
I feel it would result in some much more difficult decisions for your family to make, but I don't see it as being a necessary hardship.
That's what I feel that there are alternatives. And I suggest you speak to not necessarily a contractor, but an architect. It always sounds expensive, but sometimes it's a lot less expensive.
Without straying into the realm of advice.
Be involved for a small family, a young family that wants to live in town. And I believe from what he said about going up through and back, that it's gonna cost more than the house is worth. As it stands, or even if it's expanded,
Yeah, they're probably gonna.
more than the house is worth to go up and go around in the back. And I think that's one of the things that you have to think about when you wanna add on to something. And
That's
I
true, Susan,
suspect-
but we're not giving this to them, to this family, we're giving this to the land.
I understand that, Madeline, and I understand it lasts forever. That what variances are granted last forever. I think that what they're planning to do is more compact and going around to the back where there is some bare sloped land and a water problem that has to be dealt with.
What's that?
Well, they told you that there's a place where the water gathers and they have a plan to fix the drainage so it goes to the creek, and that's behind the house, right? That there's this, it's a natural sump, isn't it? From what you said, that the water gathers there and you're figuring out a way to get the water to the creek. And the DES will have to give you a permit because you're within 250 feet of Lake Mascoma. So if you're saying that going behind the house is more viable than what they want to do, that was the part that got to me where he talked about how you have to do something to mitigate this water problem that's probably existed since 1930, and that the DES has to give you a permit for.
Can I stop you there, please?
Yeah.
Again, we gotta talk about the issue at hand. We're not here to try to find a way to say, we're not here to try to,
Well, this was the unnecessary hardship thing, and I think that denying it would,
what's the hardship?
the money that will cost to do it a different way.
Can this property be used reasonably without changing the footprint of the building? Can it be used without changing the footprint of the building?
I think,
And
I think that the footprint that they're proposing,
not this family, can this property in the hands of another person, say a single individual or anyone else, could this property be used without changing the footprint of the building?
Is that really the question at hand, though? I mean, I think we're trying to decide.
Boiling it down as simple as
Can
possible.
build on his own property.
He
No,
can. He can build on his own property.
this is an older standard that I'm applying for a particular reason. The older standard was that if we could deny it, if there was any reasonable use that could be made of that property, the Supreme Court said, that's too tight. Now what you have to do is, if you're gonna do that, you have to find that there is some part of your ordinance that is advanced by denying them that change. So if we're gonna allow them to change the footprint of this building, it has to be because there is some particular part of the ordinance, the goals and the spirit of the ordinance that are advanced by denying them this access. So regardless of how much it costs, regardless of whether it's a nice setting, is there some purpose in the ordinance that would be thwarted, that would be retarded or stopped or blocked? Is there something in the ordinance that the ordinance is trying to do for our town that would be interfered with by letting these people expand the footprint of their building? In my mind, that's what unnecessary hardship means. Or if somebody comes in here and they say, we want to put in an auto body shop there, and it's like, no, I'm not giving you a variance for that. So that's why I was going back to that older standard, was to illustrate.
In my mind, the special feature of the property that makes this variance appropriate is it's a terribly small size. I
It's
think
not different. They're all like that along there.
Right, if you look at the other houses.
what you're saying that the unnecessary hardship is directed at the ordinance, and I always thought unnecessary hardship was directed at the landowner.
It's not that simple. If we want to say that they have to endure this hardship, we have to have good reason. And for that, we have to look at the ordinance and say, what are the provisions of the ordinance that will be advanced by denying them this variance, and is it worth it? That's where we play that substantial justice. That's what the criteria for substantial justice is about.
So I don't think I agree with Bill, but I think he's got some very good points and I'd like to hear more of them.
Please.
Um,
I'm sorry for cutting you off.
no, that's fine. I think the main point is that, this family is trying to make a livable space for themselves on this property. And, I think they'll have to move if they don't get these variances.
I think you're right.
And I think that that's an extreme hardship.
I'm afraid I don't necessarily. I'm afraid I don't necessarily agree, because we have it may not be more expensive to put
Yeah, we don't know that.
we don't know that. So they do have, as I say, they do have alternatives of where they can where they can get this square footage on their property without necessarily having to have a variance. And my understanding about this was that it was a situation where something was not possible at all because of the way the land was or other features. And I do feel that they have other possibilities here that are not necessarily worse.
And accepting certain provisions in the law, hardship is not tied to the individuals. you know, for their needs or their comfort or their expense or their circumstances. Hardship has to do with the features of the land and the uses under law. If you're feeling conflicted, that's good, because these are hard cases. It looks like a slam dunk, an easy one, but they're not.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we move the question.
Does anybody feel that further discussion will advance our, change your minds? All right, the question before you was, shall we grant a variance to allow further intrusion into the side setback? Details can be taken from the minutes to flesh out the motion. So we have a tabled seconded motion. You ready to vote?
What's the motion?
Shall we grant a variance to allow further intrusion into the side setback?
On this side,
Right.
as drawn.
So this is our area variance. This is just about the increasing the size of the footprint of the building. Whether they're gonna be allowed to build out to the north a little bit further. Get closer to the sideline. This is not about the height variance.
So repeat the motion.
In the minutes, I just have that it was to approve the area variance.
That help?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Saying aye. We have 3-2. Give them the area variance.
You're a yes.
I'm a yes.
Now we have to vote on the height.
We have to discuss the height and vote on the height. We have two other hearings tonight. Before we continue, I want to recognize that it's 10 minutes after 8. Do we want to consider postponing one of those other hearings? Let those people know now, so that they don't have to sit around for the next little bit? Yes, sir.
It's going to be extremely important that we have our hearing tonight with the timing of our plan.
Who are you?
Simpson, Guards.
We aren't denying it. We are just wondering about the time.
Right.
Well, if they're willing to sit,
It's going to be a problem.
if they're willing to sit here,
I'll consider.
Can I say something about the height?
Anybody need water?
Yeah, do you want to take 5 minutes and get a drink of water, anyone? Okay, let's go on to the height variance then.
Can I say something?
No, not yet.
Okay,
Let's get a motion on the table.
move that we grant the height variance.
I second it.
Okay,
Because of the geography of the slope. It's not gonna look that tall, so I think that we ought to grant it.
I think that because the geography of the slope, it's gonna look huge. If you're standing down below the building and you're looking up and you've got the entire 50 feet of building
But you
that's
can't,
lifted up off the ground.
you can't see it from the road.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Well, I had to drive by 3 times to find the building.
Let's see the pictures. There's the building right there.
Yeah, I know.
This is the highway that brown car is sitting on.
It goes like this.
It almost hit it by accident.
Yeah.
Please don't.
I had to drive
We'll try
by
not to.
times to see it.
So you take that roof off and you'd go up 10 feet from there. What would be the pitch on your new roof?
It's a great question, actually. So, the pitch would be, I guess 45 degrees to allow the snow to actually, because currently the snow forms at the very bottom of that pitch and the top of the roof, and it doesn't go anywhere. And I have to go with a shovel and pull it off. It's very dangerous.
Don't want that excitement in your life anymore?
10 years ago, my wife was okay with it. Now she's getting nervous.
Can we have a view from the other corner? There. Yeah, so you can see how you can already see the barn behind. So I think another story would block the view of that barn, but.
Yeah, that
So,
is,
you're off.
that plus the possibility of filling in that little corner right there is going to make a massive house. A massive house from the road.
We got views of the neighboring houses.
Yeah, I just
Please wait.
say,
Who wanted to speak? Yes, sir.
I was just gonna say I'm at 7 and my house is way above 6. And below 8, so
Right.
it all goes down, and I don't think it's gonna make a difference. It's not gonna look out of place.
Can you get street
What?
maps up?
Talk about hardship,
Pop open.
I don't think it can stand up where those windows are.
You know,
In his house, I've been in his house, and you get near the windows and you go, it's a porch, it's a cottage. It needs to be fixed.
because we have a special understanding of the term hardship at this table, we have to use a different term for that. And we call that inconvenience.
Okay.
Okay.
Not to trivialize it, but
You can call it what you want.
yeah, it's unpleasant, right?
Still got a bend over. You still got a bend over, yes.
Right. Miss Lovely?
If you zoom in on the street, their house, as I said, is 2 stories above basement. And you see the brown house on the side of the photo that they had up before. It's much taller than their house. See, Devin Lou's is there. They're all taller buildings already.
Rob, can you-
Theirs is the only
Right,
house
so-
that's short.
This one, the brown one here, that looks like a single story over a walkout basement.
Yeah.
Is that right? A normal single story?
A second.
All right, so your house would the first floor be increased to that height?
No change to the first floor, which is the basement. In height.
Okay, what about the second floor where
But-
those windows are?
That's going to be doubled is my understanding of it.
That's a fair statement, yes.
Okay. So it is going to be higher than that brown house.
Yeah, it's gonna have another story on top of that.
But look at all the other,
Yeah. If you keep going,
See, that's set back on the land though, so it's not quite so opposing on the road.
You're also seeing it's a rectangle, but going the other way.
I'm not having a real hard time with this. Especially given that our ordinance. We heard a lot about this in the Laramie Farms hearings, about the way we define height.
Yeah.
yeah, but look at this house. Rob, could you keep going?
Stories.
Which is essentially what we would call his house when he's done.
See,
The Chandler's will be a three
that's the one I'm comparing it to.
Yeah. That's all right, that can't be compliant. There's no way
So-
that's,
So to grant this variance, aren't we perpetuating the problem? We come up and we vote on these ordinances as a town. And we come to agreement. And now we look for exceptions to use when making an argument for another place. And then a couple of years from now, somebody's gonna come, they're gonna point to this house, and they're gonna say, well, this one is 52 feet, and this one encroaches more on the neighbor, so therefore I should be able to.
that's a good point.
I think at some point, we need to say, we've got zoning, and we need to honor the zoning and respect the zoning. And I think we're being much too liberal with our approach. And that's my point of view.
I hear you.
My feeling about these two possibilities is that perhaps one or the other, but not both. You know, if you were pushing using the setback, the space that they have in the back, so that it maybe changed the axis of the house, so it went back against the road, so you saw less of it, then the height might be less of an issue. But now you're changing, the effect of this is going to be a really big change in the visual mass that you have, because you're gonna have, aside from the thing, you're gonna have that whole thing that goes across to that little sort of bit that sticks out, and it's going to be way higher. So you're really going to change the effect of the volume on that house.
And again, it's really, really hard to sit here and say this and.
Yeah, I mean, I am not enjoying
I know, and I
it.
get the situation, and I don't wanna see it move either, right? This type of family would love to see remain in sense. I'm sensitive to that. But I'm also sensitive to what the voters wanted.
Again, my feeling is that there are alternatives here, that you can go back and rethink this and come up with a solution that may actually solve all your problems and not, or, you know, need a variance.
Okay.
And it may not necessarily be more expensive.
Okay.
I can't talk to you about that, but there are ways to, you know, that it might not be more expensive
Behind,
to do that.
sorry to interrupt you. The behind the house is a lot of soil. We just can't afford to move it, that's all. But that's not your problem. I just wanted to express that we did explore that option before you wanted to go up.
Yeah, you wouldn't be here if you didn't need to be here. You
Well,
understand?
one of the pieces you propose to build isn't a matter for our concern. The yellow piece on that map,
Right.
that doesn't interfere with the setbacks or anything.
Right, exactly, which is why I've been saying perhaps,
So if you wanted to build a tower there,
but perhaps, you know, if they carried it back there and, you know, put the square footage here, you could do that without necessarily affecting, you know.
I don't think a second story house is unreasonable.
I don't either.
And if you use the mechanism of measurement that other towns use, it wouldn't even need a variance. It's only because we have this lowest point thing. Now, and I know that's the rule that we, are expected to comply with, but.
Well, the other thing is we don't know what the master plan's gonna do.
I think that's
Deal
the
with-
point though, is that we have to
Yeah.
stick with what we've got now.
Yeah.
But I do think about that. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's
cause
hard.
Yeah,
Cause if he came to us after the new master plan was enforced, the whole question would be different.
Right.
Some
It'd be a
way or
different- we'd
another.
have different zoning ordinances, basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we don't.
should we go through the
Yep.
things on this one?
This variance would not be contrary to the public interest. Do we think the public interest will be harmed by allowing them to build it to
No,
50 feet?
Not particularly, no.
no,
I don't think so either. The spirit of the ordinance is observed. No,
yes,
That's where I have my problem.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
Substantial justice is done.
Would be an injustice to deny it.
That's what you're thinking.
That's what I,
Yeah.
point.
that's where I am.
I always thought that criterion was about fairness. Like other people in the area had it, but I think we recently heard a different interpretation from our legal counsel, and it was that the benefit to the public has to outweigh the benefit to
That's what I have.
the private individual.
Number 4, it's not gonna diminish other properties.
I think you're right. And so we're back down to literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship, and
My question for you guys is, would you give them 35 feet?
they can have 35 feet. That's in the ordinance.
No, we can't, because these, some of the house actually sits in the setback, and that's why he's here for a variance.
Wait, say that again. Sorry, say that again.
So you got a lot, right? This one don't work. There we go. Got a lot. Conceivably, you got your setbacks, right?
They're tighter than that.
They're much tighter than that. But so he's got a house. Just for oversimplification,
Sure.
this is in the setback.
Right. You must
So
go
he
to
does
50
not
feet.
have the right to go up to 35 feet in this area right here.
How high can you go?
He can't go on any. This is a grandfathered, non-conforming use, 3-dimensional grandfathering, so he can keep that house at the existing height and dimensions on that footprint. If you wanted to tear it down, you could replace it with the exact same dimensions, meaning 3 dimensions, width, length, height. So my question to you is, I mean, looking at this, is call that, he's calling it 8 feet, call it 10, and there's 20.
That's not 10. That second one.
This one's not 10.
No.
So
You can't
That's
stand
not
up
even
and
eight.
would you guys give them 35? That's what I'm saying, because this is in the setback.
So the peak of that roof in the back, let's say the peak of that roof in the back, let's say that's the 35-foot from the bottom of the house. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. But if you put that peak up
But
at
you need that variance relief to be able to put anything on top of this portion in the setback, which is this category.
you got 2 height variance.
I think tear that thing off and build it.
Well, I'm
in the
just
back,
saying to you,
And
that's,
you solved all your problems.
Do you want 50 feet or do you want to have the same ridge line all the way across?
It's a question for Heather, actually.
Heather, are you around?
Sorry, what was the question?
Are you hoping to have the same ridge line all the way across the house at the end?
We haven't really gone through the roof design, but I mean, we weren't going to make it a terribly
You want-
tall one.
What I'm asking really is, are you planning to put a second floor above the garage? So your new garage, which is underground, and then the first floor, and then the second floor above that, and the roof above that. Is that what you're after?
Yes, it's one rectangle.
Okay. Gotcha.
I mean, I'm sensing from you guys that you're really uncomfortable with 50 feet. Would you
I'm
be
uncomfortable
comfortable
with
with
the whole
35?
remodel.
Right. The old way that it was described in the ordinance, I know it doesn't apply anymore, but it was 2.5 stories. That's what we even allow.
It was what, Rob?
2.5 stories. That's what, kind of where you get 35 feet. Obviously, they're in a sort of unique situation with the walkout being on the street facing side. If the walkout was on the back, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because those happen all the time. Houses like that all over the place where it's 3 full stories because of the walkout. But whereas if that was ground level at the top of that walkout window
I'm not,
right there, if that was ground level coming down. Not having this conversation.
Right, but it's not.
all right, so
I'm
You're right.
scenarios.
You're right.
I'm in favor of allowing. That's,
So am I.
so that's where I am on this one. I can't articulate any better than I can't say why.
Then let's just go ahead and vote.
Does anybody else want to discuss any further?
I would have been okay with this, but not the other.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's,
Was the, you know,
there was discussion that
Like, why don't we move on so we get to.
yeah, let's do, right, thank you.
Let's vote, yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The board votes to allow both of your variance requests. The vote on each was 3-2. We don't record who voted because we don't want egging of houses and toilet paper and such. Okay. But remember, it's the board taking the actions. It's not individual. Okay,
Thank you for your time.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you all.
Don't be a bug. Thank you.
anybody need a?
A lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Consider each one.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna stand in recess until Susan gets back. Take your time.
I think that's, I think that's what.
Guys, remember the recording's still going, so we're still in public.
Yeah.
It's up to, but the whole lot is under.
That's what I'm saying.
Paul St. Martin.
They got so.
I know, ours
They- We're playing.
Oh, I'm looking at the minutes.
Why not use it like this guy? Oh, that space, and that's what I'm saying. Is that we don't need to keep making it more non-conforming, they could still put it in conform, if they had a different plan to go back behind it, they wouldn't even need to be there.
I don't disagree with you, but I can't in good conscience say that that it achieves goals of the ordinance to prevent them from doing this.
No, I seriously.
We're
don't-
trying to increase.
Unless the goal of the ordinance is to, except if the goal of the ordinance is to keep properties as conforming as possible.
And I
And
don't think it is. That's probably where we differ, is that
then
I
why do you
com-
have an ordinance if you aren't trying to make things conform? That's the whole point of an ordinance, is that it's
No, no,
gonna
no,
be
that's-
certain
that's-
standards.
okay, so now you've just created a false dichotomy. You're going to black and white thinking. And that's, no, we exist because the world is not black and
Yeah,
white.
but it just, I think as we've said before, just because it's not conforming doesn't mean that you just keep making it more
I
non-conforming.
agree.
It seems that it being slightly non-conforming, then you still would try to keep it, still try to carry on and conform is what I'm saying.
And admittedly, maybe you guys think I'm liberal, progressive. And I think literally, I am liberal in this case because I'm more interested in looser interpretations, but I really think that unless there is a clear purpose for denying a variance like that, it's a hardship to deny it if it's reasonable. We have the request for the deck, and we're gonna hear a request for a rehearing on it. And in my mind, that was clearly a case of we can't afford to give up buffer in this space.
Right.
And that's why I said no.
I think it'd be very hard to describe any of us as either.
Because the next person that wanted to build on it, no matter what he did,
That's right. Cause it's the,
no matter what he did, the next person that wanted to build on it could take away all those things, and there would be the drainage thing.
Yeah, you're right. If he had come in here and not been such a nice guy, beautiful baby, great wife, presented a solid case, yeah, that could have easily gone the other way.
From my point of
Because
view,
we're supposed to look at the land.
Exactly.
yeah.
But we for Bill.
Oh, what?
For the units. And we
Yeah.
have compassion.
It shouldn't have been even a question of whether
That's-
they. had
That's
to
what I'm
be.
trying to eliminate. It's not about the baby. It's not about the family.
hey, that wasn't part of it at all.
But you
I'll
were
remind you
saying,
guys that we're still,
It was
this is still
because
going out.
I always
Speed.
go
Yeah, I understand.
drive past,
I drive by it every day.
looking at a flat thing, I can't visualize it. I have to see it in 3
You understand, but
Drive, I go past there every day. I had to go past there 3 times to find it.
all right.
Yeah, it's back in fashion.
Look, good change of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Snyder.
Is this Mr. Snyder?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna ask Mr. Taylor to read the public notice. And then we'll hear your presentation and then we'll grill you.
All right, this is
Interrogate you. I mean,
This is the Enfield Land Use Case Z 24-08-01. Christopher Snyder has applied on behalf of Louise Davies and Matt Golick of 111 New Hampshire Route 4A for variance relief from Enfield zoning ordinance, Article 4, Section 401.1, paragraph L, to construct a garage within the required setback to the street, Route 4A. Subject property is located at 111 New Hampshire Route 4A, map 18, lot 52 in the R1 zoning district. Parcel is owned by Louise Davies and Matt Golick.
thank you. Are they here?
No, they are not.
If they reside permanently in town, it's irrelevant.
Yes, they reside there.
I show you an inconsistency.
I can't read that.
That says a single car garage. It says two. So we dropped it on that.
I don't care. I don't care what it wants.
No, I didn't say why. This one says single and this one says two car.
Is the
Don't-
square footage the same?
Yes,
Question. of
Why would I
square
care about
footage.
it?
it's approximately 480 square feet. I guess single car, it would be a 2-car garage, 1 garage door. And approximately, I would say probably under 80 square feet of it would be within the setback to Route 4A, that 20-foot setback. The front of the garage, that corner is about plus or minus, I would roughly 5 feet into it. And that back corner of the garage car area would be around 2 feet into the setback. So I'm rounding up for just.
Bob, were you able to put this up so it's large? I had trouble on my laptop trying to figure out what everything was.
I've got a paper map here, right?
Yes.
Right, do you have a presentation to give?
I have the PDF on my laptop, or I could possibly, I think it's,
Sometimes people come with a slide deck, so I just want to,
I have
yeah.
the one slide on my laptop. I don't know if I can.
You don't need to, I'm just.
Yeah, no,
I want
yeah.
to make sure you're aware that we are happy to have you talk to us for a while, give us the presentation.
Mhm.
You could also just, if you'd like, describe the project.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
When you
this-
say you have the PDF, are you able to put this up so we can see it a little bit better on the?
we want to see your map in a
on
larger
the-
scale.
Yes.
The larger
I
format?
have it. I don't know if
I can go grab it. It's, this computer is completely off the network.
Why don't you do that?
I'll go grab it.
Yeah,
And
because
we'll-
it would help that there's so many
Yeah.
details on this, it's
Yeah.
hard to
No, no
figure
worries.
out.
Give us the rundown so I can write facts. How
So-
big is the lot? to
The
start?
lot, is,
That's probably in the application.
yeah. Exactly.
No,
Lot size.
Does it show on, he's gone on the GIS maps?
Yes, it should show on it. It's
What the-
approximately, I believe, 20,
Is your-
0.6 acres.
Six.
is
Yeah, I
your
was gonna say
property
0.7,
card-
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
it's in the R1 district.
yes, it is.
And so is it, let's remember, this is also on the scenic byway?
Yeah,
It's just around the corner from the one we.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
did.
Yes, it is.
Right,
It's right
right.
around the
And
corner.
it's been before us before to ask for a garage.
This lot, this very lot.
This piece of property. Am I allowed to talk about that?
I'm not sure you're correct, but I would,
Well, I was here when it
it does
happened.
look familiar.
They came and they wanted to they tore down the house that was there. And they built that house. And then that gray house, that thing, they built it on the footprint of the previous house, which they're allowed to do.
Mhm.
And they came and they asked for a garage. Right where that car is.
Which is right where they're asking for a garage.
Right where the one they're asking for is a little further forward of the house, I
Yes.
believe.
Yeah.
And
I think unless we can
Before we go any further
say,
about that, let's
So,
ask Mr. Taylor if we,
yeah,
yeah,
do we have an old application and decision about that?
No. No, I was here for that. We talked about this.
yes.
They
we talked-
withdrew it. No decision was made on that.
Are you sure? Cause I remember how I voted.
Positive.
I think,
suspect Rob would remember.
Roger Rodewald was the representative of the applicant. It was not these owners. It was
Yeah.
previous.
It was the previous owner and I
When
remember
they
saying,
were getting close to being denied by you, they withdrew the application.
yes.
I
Okay.
remember it like it was yesterday.
That sounds.
is that what happened? Because that was where I said, the,
We may not need to say anything more
yeah,
about it.
okay,
and be
well,
seen.
where the owner
Yeah.
didn't come and we
Consult.
didn't know the owner.
We can consult the meeting minutes.
really immaterial
Find
at
out
this
what
point,
really
I think.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
So, yeah, if we can enlarge this, then that would be super helpful.
Yes.
Okay. Because I'd like to understand, so where is so the dotted line that goes through that, I presume, is the
Yes, I
setback?
can go up and
Yeah.
point it out.
Would you do that? That'd be super helpful.
So the 20-foot setback is approximately right here.
Right, okay.
So what we would like to do is have a small as possible 2-car garage, which is approximately 20 foot by 20 feet. So that's here, and they want to also have some storage for just yard tools and extra stuff because they're right on the lake. So we have that right here. And the back kind of bulge of the garage, which is we put inside the setback. One of the reasons why we tried to actually not have it further in is because right here is the 50-foot wetland setback. So we're kind of hemmed in between these two setback lines
I don't
For
see
the-
that.
for the property.
I don't buy that.
The front door is right about here,
Yeah.
that deck.
So that dotted line is the 50-foot line?
Yes, it is.
So you could move that garage up and over and the notch would fit. It might not be nice for your door.
Possibly.
Yeah.
It is a possibility.
Yeah.
That we would have to get further survey of between here and here that it would be tight. I don't know 100% if it would be able to fit in there.
Mr. Schneider, your lower left corner of the garage, if you could move your pen there, so we're talking, same spot, yeah, so that's 5 feet 6 inches.
That's
into the
approximately
setback.
5.5 feet.
And then if you go down to the next corner, that's 2.5 feet. into the
Approximately,
setback.
yes, yeah.
Approximately, okay. What is your relationship to the owners?
I'm just the architect up there.
Just the architect?
Yeah.
Never say that.
Just the,
Just the architect.
You may say the architect.
So on your application, section 1, it says side yard setback of 20 feet along Route 4A.
I probably got my wording right. It's the street yard setback. It's kind of the street, but
Okay,
I always kind of-
that's where I was going. So
Yes.
it's down below, it says, road setback. So you're talking about the road.
Yes.
setback. That's what we're talking.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Are you talking about the road setback?
yes, so this is
Yes,
for A, and then part of this would be essentially trying to also further along would be essentially hiding the house a little bit more, because this is also essentially built into would hopefully build it into a berm right here. As you can see in this, these lines are topographical lines, so we try to build it further into the side of essentially by these trees here, so we can actually hide it a little more, and it wouldn't be as visible as just kind of the house that it is right now.
Is it the intent to keep those trees?
As much as we can, yes. Yeah, we do not want to cut down any of those trees. We'd actually try and plant more in here and here, and give back this hardscape area that is hard packed to foliage.
Sure.
Yes, so right here, it's essentially a U-shaped driveway. So you would try and put the driveway here. We don't think digging deep into this to actually put a kind of as small of a foundation as possible. We wouldn't have to cut into this because all of these tree roots are already so compacted with the gravel there already.
How long is the garage on the side that is facing the road?
The garage side here.
Yeah, where
It's
would it
20 feet.
reach? Where would it, can you just maybe point on the house so we get an idea? Can we go back? Okay, so
So the garage.
that's
would-
right on the corner.
So it's probably about a third of that. A third of the entire garage would be the garage, and the conforming part would be towards the house, and then 2/3 would be the front end.
I want to do the square footage that's in the setback. So how long is that line?
Right here,
Yes,
this line here is 20 feet, so it's a 20-foot square.
20 times 5 divided by roughly 2. 100, so about 50 square feet in the.
Yeah, so I was overestimating at 80 square feet, so it's gonna be less than that by quite a bit.
So, Mr. Snyder, our zoning ordinance, 401-1, L states an exception to the 20-foot setback may be granted only where a new dwelling is constructed beside or between two dwellings with modest pre-zoning front setbacks. Can you point to those two dwellings?
Well, we have, well, you have the street here and then also everything.
Pull up the text, man.
Sorry.
There's another house right back
Yeah,
up against the edge.
It's, look, see, the other houses are smack.
There's a little white house closer to the lake behind it.
Yes.
There, yeah, right there.
7 and 8 and also 9 coming down. Most of all of these are almost within 10 feet of 4A.
Yeah, they're,
And we're trying to get this as tight as possible without kind of going into the front door and getting into the actual wetland setback that I think is possibly, I don't want to be stepping into it, but might be even more, I would say, important to the wetland usage of the area. And then, so 7, 8, and 9 are truly almost right on the road. We're trying to get within, next round,
have you would,
4.5 feet.
into a DES permit yet?
No, we do not. We're going for this, the variance before it's even, because since we're doing everything within the 50-foot setback, we're gonna try and get the, more, expedited, permit, DES permit. But we want to come to you guys first before we even kind of do that legwork, and notify it that way. So we don't wanna, essentially overbuild, really.
Did you consider a one-car garage?
This is a working family. Unfortunately, most people these days have 2 cars for, each adult, and then also in the summer, that their college age son will be here. So we'll be able to park, but 2 cars is kind of almost, necessity for a total household. And to be able to, work at both jobs, they both need them.
And does this lot allow for 2 one-car garages?
I would theoretically, you could do it. However, I think that the full footprint and usage that you'd be asking for would probably be detrimental to the site itself, because you'd have to possibly put one in this area and up to the house, or put up a full back-to-back one-car garage that would be more of a hardship per se to the neighbor, having something kind of extra on there close to them.
So can you just indicate on that picture where you think the building would go? Would it go to where the car is?
So, no, so the back of the garage where the cars would park would go as close as possible to this window here, which is a kitchen window.
Okay, but then there's
And
that
then
bump out.
That bump out is conforming. It is within the 20-foot setback. And that goes 7 feet into where the car is. So it's a little past this window here.
Okay,
But since that is conforming, that is within there. And since where that car is, you would be able to essentially build into that berm where we have it to minimize the aesthetic impact to that street.
Would your garage occupy any of the space that's occupied by that car right now?
The car garage, no.
The
With the
bump out.
the bump out, yes.
but that doesn't, in terms of what you see from the road, it doesn't matter that it's an
Right.
empty space behind that bump out, because you can't see it. So effectively, it's as long as the bump out in a way. So what about abutters? the neighbors here? Has anybody spoken up?
But it was notified.
Nobody else
If
is here to
anybody's
speak
online,
for or against? You guys are here for the third hearing?
Anybody online? Abutters?
Might sway my opinion if you would donate some air plugs.
It's a bit, yeah, it's tall. Can't see it.
We make a motion to discuss it.
I move we approve the variance request to intrude on the road setback. There are no seconds.
I second the motion.
Discuss it. Okay. I don't generally make motions because I'm the chair. I wrote the lot is 0.6 acres. It's in the R1 district with 20-foot road setbacks, 15-foot side setbacks, and 10-foot rear setback. The corner of the proposed garage would be 5 feet inside the road setback, running to 2 feet inside the setback. Garage to intrude approximately 80 square feet into the front setback. Neighboring lots have structures within 5 to 10 feet of the road. Plan keeps the structure out of the lakefront setback. This property is on the Enfield Shaker Village.
Enfield Shaker Village Scenic Byway. How far is it from, did we say from the 50-foot
It's,
buffer?
we're trying to keep it as far, it's about 5 feet from the 50-foot buffer.
Okay, so it's very close to the buffer, 50 foot. And it is within the 250 feet of the shoreline. Those are facts.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's,
What's it formally called? The shoreline buffer, is that right? Shore,
Lakeshore Protection Area.
yeah. Well, it's one of those,
Yeah, they're two different things. One's the 50-foot and one's the 250.
right?
Yeah, it's like a shoreland buffer and then it's woodland buffer and then it goes out.
Something, yeah.
Okay. I noticed that most of the property is covered by the 50-foot shoreland buffer
Yes.
or 20-foot road buffer or road setback or the 10-foot side setback. There's not much legally conforming property to be built on in that section, in that property.
well, when they tore down the other house and put that in, they could do it because it was on the footprint of the previous building. But
Yeah.
that one's taller and squarer.
Well, they used up the porch. Remember, it used to have a little porch. And then they took that footprint and carried it up to the second story.
Yeah.
Which is an object lesson in when you
Exactly,
give a variance for a porch or something.
exactly. But
somebody
that's
in the
what
future
happened,
Can use that.
is that you just look around the lake.
It's really a really big house on a little bitty lot.
Yeah.
Cause it's massive, cause it's 200
massive.
stories, yeah.
It's also one of the prettiest spots on the lake as you drive through there. You know, you have that view through to the lake. And I'm really concerned, and then you also, have between the house and the little house, you still have a little view of the lake. This is just a big box that's going to be in there, and as I say, in terms of your perception of whether, that bump out or not, the effect is as you look coming certainly around the road, going south, and either way, it's those two little corners that are cut out aren't gonna make any difference in your perception of the visual mass of the
And you
building.
put up the picture that also shows the next door house that's south of that, with that little white house. You see it through there, you see
Yeah,
it through
it's
the
good,
tree.
you're not gonna have, as you drive through there, if you look at the sight line, you're gonna, as your car goes around there, that's gonna be blocked.
Are we allowed to consider that?
What?
Are we allowed to take that into consideration though?
I think it has to do with the character of the neighborhood and the surroundings of the sense of, that you have of the openness, and there's not a lot of space between those houses, but there is some space. You don't have a wall of building there.
Okay, are we talking about a 2-story garage?
No, one, with just a shed roof going up to the,
Is it gonna block those two windows, the one you said that was the kitchen?
no, that's the goal, is to keep those windows open, so that's why it's moved further up against the house. Or against the front of the
But then you
house.
said there's gonna be a bump out on the back.
Yeah,
So there's
that's the
gonna be-
bump out so that it's conforming, and then those
Exactly,
windows aren't.
and so there's almost a small little window well, right where that, those two windows are, so you can have natural light in there. And that, quote unquote, bump out to the back of it would be almost another shed roof as low as possible. So our goal is to keep the visual idea of the garage as low and as inconspicuous as one can make a garage.
So,
You said the kitchen window at the siding of the bump out.
It would be at the trim of that bump out, yeah.
so you say a shed roof going which direction? From
It
where
would
to
be, it
where?
would be going from the house towards the road.
So I'm thinking about the future, some property owner down the road. I don't believe they'd have to come back to ask if they'd be allowed to put a second floor on. Maybe if somebody was as sharp as Rob and they saw that part of it was in the setback, they might say, okay, you've got a legally non-conforming use, but you can't expand vertically. But that wouldn't stop those people from putting
No.
a second floor on that section.
Want to walk through the criteria?
Yeah, let's go through the criteria.
Mike, you ready for it?
I am. Everybody else? You guys ready for the criteria? Criterion, the first, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest.
I don't think it'd be contrary to the public interest.
I think it would be, because as I say, I think it will substantially affect the view of the people on what is a scenic byway.
I respect that.
And that is one of the primary purposes of the ordinance is to preserve the character and the beauty of the natural resources.
Whereas the previous house, that wasn't an issue because you wouldn't see it, but this is, as I say, I personally, when I used to not live here permanently and I'd come up here and drive down there and you'd go,
Yeah.
I'm at the lake, and I just think that will add substantially to the mass of that house.
I
I agree with.
give a comment. Or
If you're gonna say we're good people, we're gonna build it responsibly, so you won't notice it, don't bother.
I know, I was.
We're more worried about the people that buy it after you and turn. it
No,
into a
I know,
two-story.
I completely understand. I was just wondering if I could just point something out.
Yeah, sure.
to
go
that.
ahead.
If you could bring up one of the reasons why that front corner would be in the setback instead of truly as tight as we can in between here. So if we were to pull this garage further up
Mhm.
into the scenic area and actually be conforming within 100% within the wetland 50-foot setback and possibly the 20-foot setback, then if we were to do that, we would actually be conforming within the garage itself and then also the setbacks. However, then we would actually have a more detrimental effect if you're coming this way. I would think, what is it, west?
Yep.
Northwest and up on the scenic
North.
roof. Up towards the lake that way. And then even also this way, if you're coming down the road, this garage would be essentially right in that area. So you're essentially taking the house, putting it within our very small little area. And then we would ruin possibly that view out to this little point here. So
Is it gonna have a peaked roof?
no, it would be a shed roof.
What's a shed roof?
A shed roof,
Single
a single pitch, so like that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So I'm asking for the variance to actually try and hide it and actually protect the view as much as possible while being within the, let's say,
I'm also concerned
Area.
about the covering up the surface. The impermeable surface questions there as
Yeah.
well. That lot, it's a teeny lot.
It's outside the setback.
What?
It's outside the setback.
But that's true, but that's not that's not the only question. It is
So we're talking
Maybe.
about,
Covering
granting
up a lot of it.
contrary to the public interest, so. I can hear that going to that argument. We can't really,
Spirit of the ordinance?
thanks. Spirit of the ordinance is observed.
I would say, no, it's not. I think this is more of a want than a need. And, again, I think these ordinances are in place for a reason.
I don't think that fact,
You keep going back to that.
the fact that the other houses are close to the road and there are other structures close to the road, that's true, but they were there when they were little tiny camps and
Yeah.
that was part of it. Sort of the spirit of the place. The house is already turning it, more suburban, less of a sort of camp. And the garage is really going full suburban.
Yeah, I think the spirit of the ordinance that I'm thinking of here is the protection of the natural environments.
Yeah.
Yeah. To go to Mr. Snyder's point, though, if they built the garage in a conforming location, it will have more of an impact.
It would be less bad.
How will it be less bad?
Slightly less bad.
I don't,
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
want the garage at all.
want the.
No, but I don't think there's a
Like,
way
no
to
one can stop it.
prevent them from building a garage.
No, if they're building the garage within the zoning
That's
ordinance,
right.
by now, I keep going back to it, but I guess we have it for a reason.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not hacking on you, I'm just.
Yeah,
I don't know what my job is then. So, yeah, they have a right to build a garage, but when they want to do it outside of the
Yeah,
zoning
right.
ordinances,
The setbacks,
yeah, it's back to, they would like to do this, they don't need to do it.
yeah, I mean, I suppose if it's a choice between really bad and less bad,
But that's really not, I don't see that as the choice. I think
no, I
making
mean,
it move it in and up a little bit isn't gonna make much of a difference, I don't think.
no, I see what you're saying.
Don't think that the spirit of the ordinance is observed in this particular case. And it keeps coming back to me of the tiny little lot with the huge building that's just recently been built on it. I mean, that house is what, 3 years old?
I'm not sure how old it is.
Yeah, it's not very, yeah,
I've only lived in Enfield for
Yeah.
7 years.
yeah, it's, That, it came up before the zoning before I was on the zoning
It's
board, so
been
it's, yeah.
before, it's been before us previously.
Let's try to focus on this case though, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can put that out of your mind, that would be good.
Yeah,
We gotta focus on this.
yeah.
Well,
Yes,
I'm
yes, it's aired
still
off, it's on
focusing
there.
on the, it's the size of the lot, that,
Yeah,
it's the size of the lot that, because it's so small.
Yeah, I suppose they could build a conforming one and they, be in front of their front door or wherever else, they could certainly do that.
I'm
Then
not
it would
keen
be
on,
within the 50 foot.
No, there's probably space not within the 50 foot. But again, who knows whether the DES would give them permission. I don't know, but anyway.
yeah,
So
I can't see a compelling reason to allow this. I think there are violations of spirit of the ordinance. What they provided as evidence that trying to encroach in the setback as minimally as possible, that doesn't do anything to satisfy the spirit of the ordinance for me.
I
Doesn't
would
even
think
address it.
for number 4, that probably that's okay.
Which floor is
The values of surrounding properties, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think it's
I
gonna,
don't think that would do anything either way.
I don't think it would cause a hardship.
No, I don't
no, I
either.
don't think so here. I think they find another way or they use a smaller garage.
And I can live quite well.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I just think they're gonna build it in the outside setback.
That's their.
Call the question.
That was nicely done. Thank you, man. Does anybody believe further discussion will help you reach a decision that you're not at yet?
No.
The question before you is, shall the board vote to approve the application for a garage intruding in the road setback? All in favor?
No.
Aye.
Hold on,
You're in favor of approving it.
that's okay.
Okay, no, I just was clear because it's like one of those weird things. Are you in favor of not, whatever, you just have to think.
No, we're voting on whether to approve it.
Okay,
Next comes, because a failure to approve is not a denial. Okay, so if we fail to approve this, we'll have to have a second motion. Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Nay. Sorry, I don't get a chance to vote no very often, so I had been waiting for 2 years to do
No
this.
comment. No comment.
you vote no.
You wanna go, I'll go.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so just to be clear, nay. So this motion fails. We have not approved the variant. So we need a motion now from somebody who, presumably somebody who would like to
I make
deny
a
the
motion
motion.
to deny this variance. The encroachment on the road setback. Okay, for the purposes of the garage.
I second it.
Any discussion needed? All right, all in favor of denying the variance?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? See, it would have been more fun. If I could done the horse again.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I'm getting a little looky. Okay, so we're gonna deny that variance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now the next,
We have a third hearing.
But, I mean, it was approved, so.
It's a legal question. They've told us time and time again. Go to NHMA and they hammer that.
No, I was explaining my vote.
Oh, sorry.
The
so
second one
once
was
we
referred-
deny it, they can appeal.
I want us to be united, unanimous.
What's that?
They can appeal once it's been denied.
Certainly, yeah, and then a butter could appeal if they didn't want it to be approved, and, but again, the appeal has to be about something we did wrong. Like if they thought my lack of decorum.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know about that, nay. They might think that was all.
I'm just saying. All right,
It's getting late.
All right, let's get on to
Here's
the.
our next case.
Okay,
Do you trust us to handle this case?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's like a-
This is the 5-second one.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'll bet we can draw it out. We have been here till 10, but no. Where's the last one?
Thank you for your patience.
Oh.
I think I'm trying Mr. Finger's patience tonight. Not sure. All right.
Hey.
Enfield land use case number Z 24-08-03.
Yep.
You may come to the table if you like. Roger and Marta Barnes.
Yes.
Would you each identify yourselves as Roger or Marta?
Marta.
Roger.
All right, thank you. We'll take your word for it.
Roger.
Have applied for variance relief from Enfield's zoning ordinance Article 4, Section 401, Decimal 1, Paragraph K, to create a lot less than 1 acre in size. The subject property is 0.416 acres and is located at 348 Shaker Boulevard, map 26 lot 3 in the R1 zoning district. The parcel is owned by Roger and Marta Barnes, trustees. Do you have a presentation you would like to make, Barnes people?
Well, we've been at that property since 1985. That's when we purchased the property. And I'd like to speak in favor of that boundary line adjustment with a zoning variance for a special situation. Our neighbors, they're with us tonight, Rob and Tricia Simpson, approached us with a proposal that would help them obtain water for their property.
Are you the folks that have like the weird little notch?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not straight in your back.
Yes.
With a well.
You're gonna trade,
We understand in Utah.
so like you're gonna square up your properties basically, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's
I'm sorry, Ms. Barnes.
no problem.
I should not interrupt.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. So the proposal was to help them obtain water for their property, which they don't have right now. At first, we thought we had plenty to do when we denied the other meeting. That was one more thing to add to our list, but as we prayed, we came to the decision that a decision that would be the right decision and not the most convenient one, which would be not take the time in doing it. So it became very clear what to do. They need water and we have a way to provide it. So you might be thinking, why? They don't have enough land. Why are they giving it away? But on the other hand, our frontage to the road, I understand that that was a path. Shaker Boulevard was a path in the past, and it became a road. And as it became a road, our property line, our markers are under the road, somewhere in the middle there. Okay, so our frontage is not, our frontage is under the road. Okay, so when you take that into consideration, that 18 feet by 24 feet is nothing really compared to the frontage that's under the road. And we try, when making a decision, we try to go by a golden rule that says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And if we needed water, I'd appreciate somebody helping me get water. So with that thought in mind, we're requesting that you would consider adjusting that boundary line so that our neighbors can get their water. And what it is just our fence would go straight up. This is the lake. So the line would go straight up to the road instead of having that little bend that goes into the property. So they would have access to the actual well that's there.
Is that their well? Today?
That's ours.
Ours.
Right, so you're gonna give them their, and they're gonna drill a new well for you.
Correct.
Where will the new well be?
Somewhere around here.
All right.
If this is the house,
Yes.
It's
so it would be somewhere Up here.
the driveway.
So
And the
this
house
is,
is
this is
down
your
here.
house,
Correct.
correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you put that up
I can. You want it?
if you could?
So do you
I've
get
been,
it?
well, I've been driving back and forth.
right on your map
looking
in
and
front of you.
looking and
It's right
looking,
here,
'cause I
it's right
always-
here.
Yeah, I know. I've been there.
Marta, do you own lots 16 and 17?
Yes, sir.
You do.
15, 16, and 17.
15, 16, 17.
And I've actually been in communication with Julie, our assessing administrator, on that. There were 3 lots there originally, but there's some, contention there that it's most likely just 1 lot at this point.
Yeah, because they're not full acreage.
Well,
Oh.
And that's another thing I wanted to
Just
explain.
the way
to you.
they're in the
So-
records.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter why, it's just that in our
no, it's
records. they're-
one of those
it's one lot.
places where the guy divided it up into little bitty lots
Right.
Maybe
and wanted
recorded it properly.
to have
If
lots
these
of
lots
houses.
were conforming lots, they wouldn't be coming to you, they go right straight to the planning board.
Yeah.
And get this done. It's a boundary line adjustment, fairly simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because they're both non-conforming lots, the planning board cannot make a lot more non-conforming or essentially
Yeah.
smaller. It's already too small.
We have to give a variance
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
to say that it's okay to make this, to create this non-conforming
Right.
lot.
And I am very impressed with this
So I
couple doing nice things for their
People could
neighbors.
see it.
I don't think we need it.
I feel as if,
You don't think they need it?
I don't think we need
I
a
don't
picture.
feel I need the
Mike,
picture.
I can tell you,
Uh-oh.
I don't need the picture. I can tell you right now. It's the most neighborly thing I've heard of in
Absolutely.
That's fine.
100 years.
It's not gonna hurt anybody.
Nobody's.
Number one. Number two, these people behind you are probably very nice, very credible, and they're fantastic, I'm sure. But
really know us, do you?
So I'm gonna take off my zoning board hat for a second. and say,
Yes.
No matter how nice they seem, are you protected? Do you have an agreement that if you don't get water when you drill, you're going to be protected? That's my concern is for you.
We do have an agreement that we're gonna sign and we're gonna have it notarized.
Yeah. Okay.
And
And you have a lawyer?
it's,
You've got your hand up.
Well, I was gonna mention something. The timing I was mentioning earlier is like, we're gonna be drilling the well before the planning board allows us to do that. I'm confident that I'm gonna put a well in there.
We have to set the well drilling and the legal advice aside and the carrying. We cannot have that as part of our minutes and our meeting subject. You guys can go talk about that if you want. And thank you for bringing it up.
the agreement
No.
Okay.
We can't talk about it. but-
later,
Yeah.
but thank you.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
I
I'd like
move that we grant the variance.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Thank you.
That's the fastest case to change.
I couldn't believe it.
We knew if we were last, you'd want to finish the meeting.
Rob, can they go to the planning board and combine these 3 lots?
They don't have
That's what
to,
I
it's
said.
already combined.
They're already combined.
Yeah,
They've been getting 1 tax bill. They didn't get the
yeah,
tax.
that's right.
It's already.
Yeah.
See this line all the way around
Yeah,
like that?
right.
That's what the town
Yeah, but
taxes.
that's, I didn't understand why they needed them.
Even with all
Because-
three of them together, it's not
because
enough
this is-
acre.
Thank you very much.
It's not 1 acre. That's the problem.
It's not one,
It's not 1 acre.
All 3 of those lots together does not make 1 acre.
oh,
And
okay.
even still, it would need to be more than 1 acre because they're cutting off some of it to get to the neighbors.
Now I understand.
Oh.
So
we were
do we have an appeal something?
Yeah, we have to talk about the letter.
Are we all,
Do
are
not.
we
adjourn.
done?
We are not adjourned.
Do you guys have a copy of that letter?
Yes.
No, I don't.
I didn't get a copy of the Rob, I'll take one, please.
Thank you for your time and.
Well,
Thank you for sitting for so long.
So far.
It is.
Gave me one.
People don't get on this mystery of sale, especially constantly say no all the time or yes all the time. I mean, it's so completely dependent on the context.
Is this
Right?
yours?
What?
Sit there with the garage.
No, but I'm just saying, people say, oh, that zoning board, they say yes to everybody, or, they say no to everybody.
Read the reviews.
You can't say that because.
Don't read social media. Don't read the reviews.
There.
I mean, for every
Do your
person
job.
that talks
Your
bad
plug.
about this, there are three people.
Good night.
Good night, thank you.
Post anything that's bad, just don't allow it to go out.
I'll try. I got sick of that. When I went on that trip, okay, well, later.
Yeah, okay.
Dear Mr. Taylor, I am writing to respectfully request a rehearing of my variance request for my property at 49 Route 4A. My request for the construction of a deck was recently denied by the Enfield ZBA, citing the preservation of the water quality of Lake Muscoma by not allowing building footprint expansion. That's a fair summary.
I was gonna check the minutes, is that what we actually said?
It's not, no, but it's a fair summary.
We talked about it.
Since the hearing, I've had the opportunity to research building methods that address this concern and mitigate the potential for disruption of the environment. As a 9-year resident of Enfield, I have a vested interest in preserving the water quality of Lake Muscoma. As such, I was diligent in taking all necessary precautions when rehabilitating my home, including the careful repair of the retaining walls to prevent erosion into the lake. Pause. You may be wondering why I'm reading all of this out loud.
You have to read it into the record.
I have to read it into the record. At the time of purchase, this 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home was habitable, but in need of repairs and updates. Today, it is a beautiful 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home on the same footprint that adds aesthetic and monetary value to the neighborhood and town. I share this information as evidence of my history in being a good neighbor and steward of the land, as I noted such histories understandably play an important role in the decision-making of the board. On June 3rd, 2024, I was issued an accepted shoreline permit by notification. There are numbers. Subject property by the state of New Hampshire to construct a deck on my property. As the governing body responsible for Muscoma Lake's water quality, the state DES notes New Hampshire shorelands are among the state's most valuable and fragile natural resources. Removing natural vegetation from shorelands can impact water quality and affect the beauty of our landscapes. Fill, excavation, and construction can have similar impacts. Close quote. In keeping with my history as a good steward of the land and in compliance with state guidelines, I have researched construction methods that will ensure no vegetation would be removed and no excavation would be done on the property should my variance request be granted. Diamond pier systems would be used to support the deck. I believe he's referring to a name brand model of piering systems.
Just, hey, isn't it?
I don't think it's meant to describe the shape of the pier systems now.
But anyway,
I would install permeable rocks to help filtrate the water into the ground and add natural vegetation between the deck and shoreline. I am amenable to any suggestion by the board to ensure the goal of preserving water quality is met. Lastly, it is my intention to utilize this space as an outdoor deck and not to eventually increase the indoor living space of my home, as was a topic of concern of the board. The addition of a deck on my property is in keeping with the property use of nearly every house on Muscoma, including my abutting neighbors. Not only will this deck add value and allow for increased enjoyment of my property, but it will also add to the property values of the neighboring homes. I am deeply committed to adhering to zoning regulations while preserving the water quality of Lake Muscoma. I believe that the information provided demonstrates my due diligence in mitigating the concerns of the board. I kindly request a rehearing of my zoning variance request and hope for a positive reconsideration. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, signed, Paul St. Martin, 49 New Hampshire, Route 4A, Enfield, New Hampshire, etc.
And I did quickly Google, that's the diamond pier system there. That's the.
Great, thank you.
so
It's my opinion that Mr. Martin is basically saying to us, I disagree with your decision, please reconsider. And that is not grounds for a rehearing.
I believe it is not grounds for rehearing for the reason we denied it, because it would increase the footprint of the house. He told us that the house was, that he wanted to do that because he was going to sell the house.
Right, and the real basis for the denial is that it increases the footprint of the house. I don't think he understands why we said no. I don't think he understands that we are not concerned about his building practices. That somebody in the future could use that to increase the living space of the house.
But to go back to the question of the rehearing, if the rehearing is if he can show that we've not, you know, that there's been something incorrect or capricious, and I
He
don't,
has not said anything
No.
about that.
he's not said anything about that, and
Not
so I don't see that there's grounds for opening a rehearing.
No, I think even if we wanted to, and well, whether we want to or not is immaterial, I don't think we can.
There's no way we can attach a condition to the variance to say this is only for a deck and cannot be used for any living
No,
space.
because it goes, because legally it increases the footprint,
And it goes with. the
and we
property.
don't want to increase the footprint.
Sure.
Because it's so close to the lake. I think we deny I move that we deny his request for rehearing.
Seconded.
Do we even need to vote on it?
Oh, yeah, we have to vote on it, on
Okay.
every motion. Can we take a short break?
Sure.
I need to walk to the other room. Not talk amongst yourselves.
I'll get some more water because my ice is. I don't have water.
No water in your house?
I found out why.
What's going on?
I'm the lowest point in the Enfield water system. And every time they work on it, I get junk. And they came today and tested. I took Jim a sample, but he didn't like my sample. They came today, they ran the water for about 45 minutes and took a sample. And they're recommending that I put on a whole house filter and a charcoal filter. At my own expense.
I have
But
one in my
I'm still
house.
paying full price for water. The dog and I both got horribly sick. And he says maybe it was Giardia. But we were sick, both of us.
Have you done the COG railway?
I never have.
We did it today for the first
Oh,
time.
you did?
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to ask me your heritage question?
Yes, so Mr. Taylor told me about a wonderful program that they have in Plainfield slash Meredith. And it is, an effort that was brought forward by the Heritage Commission. What it said was, if someone chooses to restore a barn,
The barn thing, exactly.
then the town
You
would not
get-
increase the tax because the value of the barn then had gone up,
Correct,
which would motivate people to do more work.
correct.
I am, full disclosure, it's something that I'm looking at doing. And before I do it, I thought, that's something I would like to, it would help me in my decision process.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Everybody on the Heritage Commission Planning Board seems to think it's,
Planning board?
what?
Planning board?
Well, when I spoke to them with the Heritage Commission, Tim Jennings, I think some other people said, oh, that sounds really interesting.
Oh, okay, good, yeah. I thought you were
So,
gonna say they were opposed.
no, I thought that was one of the things, the two things that I felt as Heritage Commission that people could have, you know,
Maybe we should take it up after we finish this.
okay.
We started a separate meeting.
It's the Heritage Commission
Talking
now,
about
Mike.
historic barn
What
preservation.
is it you wanna do?
All right, we're back in order.
Let's finish
Yeah.
this meeting, exactly.
Two questions. I'm aware that we can grant a rehearing if we did something wrong, if the person thinks we did something wrong. I'm not entirely sure that we are not allowed to have a rehearing if we think we got it wrong. Regardless of whether we did something illegal or broke procedure, if we just think, you know what? We maybe should redo this one. So I want to put that out there.
Do we need to ask the lawyer about that?
What was my second question?
You want to take out a lot?
What's
I'm
that?
taking another walk.
It's a nice night out.
I don't know what your second question is, but I honestly believe that the major problem of the deck is increasing the footprint
Absolutely. That's
that
absolutely
close to the lake. And I don't see how we can permit that.
I'm not asking you to.
No, I mean, I don't see that a rehearing would change that particular, the reason for denying the variance.
I want it on the record that there is a possibility that we could decide of our own initiative to conduct a rehearing if we think we didn't do it properly. I want that to be acknowledged by the group.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
reason
I
just
don't want it-
says the board may reconsider a decision to grant or deny an application or grant a motion for rehearing. Doesn't say anything about requirements.
Yeah, I don't want somebody to review our record and say the only reason they said no is that I didn't say they did something wrong.
Mhm.
That's the only reason I brought that up.
What I wanna say is what you did in splitting the request to two variances so that he could fix the place where he parks the cars, which he is doing,
Good.
that you split it for two separate requests was the correct thing to do.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think we did anything wrong and I don't think we got the decision wrong. I need that on the record.
Well, that's why I wanted to say that, so it would get on the record that that his
Your opinion
request for a
is we did it right,
variance
yeah.
was split because we felt that part of it would be reasonable to grant.
Yes.
And then we discussed the other piece. And we talked about the fact that the deck would increase the footprint close to the lake.
Have the minutes here of that?
And that's why we denied it.
Yeah, so again, we're not talking about the subject.
No, but it has to be, it is in the minutes, but it has to be
Right, I'm
as
just,
a response to his letter.
right, no, I'm just wondering what we said to him. Yeah, we moved to grant variance for the parking space.
While you're looking that up, I'll just say, I don't think we got anything wrong, and I think we got the decision. I don't think we did anything wrong, and I think we got the decision right. And therefore, I would move to not approve. his
Yeah.
request for-
Yeah.
So we have a,
We have a
We have
motion.
motion
Right,
to
we-
deny. And it's in lines 43
I have corrections for the minute.
down to
Around that.
65 in the minutes.
Okay.
Can we write the denial of the motion saying that we denied it on the basis of the footprint question? That we're denying it because we don't believe that there was anything incorrect, and two, we would stand by our decision about,
Mike, we're missing. Yes, we'll do something like
can we
that.
do that?
So my second observation was that I think we can attach conditions, but we have to be very careful about them. They have to be specific and enforceable, and they have to be in the notice of decision as well as in the motion. And in this case, we wouldn't have done it. But you asked that question and I said, no, we can't do that. And that's actually not correct. The real answer is yes, you can attach conditions. The legal opinion that we've heard is that they're very difficult to enforce. And if you don't put them into your notice of decision and into your motion that goes in the minutes, you have no grounds for enforcing them. So generally stay away from conditions if you possibly can.
Yeah, also as a practical matter, if it goes with the land and the current owner doesn't do anything, but three owners from now, does something, like how do you enforce it or not enforce it, you know what I'm saying?
That's the thing about the notice of decision is that's kept with the land record, the
Yeah.
ownership record. So any kind of variances like that are attached to the deed. And
Well, he made
that's
a
the idea.
mistake in telling us that the reason he wanted to do these things was because he's gonna sell the house.
I would have stuck with my decision.
Yeah,
whether
that's-
He was gonna sell it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
of the footprint, that
Yeah.
there's no question in my mind,
I don't think that
whether
was a
he keeps
mistake.
the house for 100 years or not, he shouldn't have a deck.
If anything, all that did was to underline our point that we're not thinking about what you're gonna do with the property. We're thinking about down the line.
Yeah,
So I don't see that as, I wouldn't call that a mistake that he made. It's
It
like,
didn't help his
it
case.
didn't help his case to point out to us. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
So, any further discussion?
No.
All in favor of denying Mr. Martin's request for a rehearing? Aye. All opposed? Again, 0 horses.
we have to go over the minutes.
I kind of like to put them off for next time because we're getting bleary.
Well, didn't find anything wrong with them.
I did.
Oh, okay. I didn't,
Was it a big thing, Mike?
Yes,
Okay.
oh, okay.
almost as though you took the night off.
Oh, come on. that was me.
Not so much, but it's like,
Well, how quick, if we can do it in 5 minutes, let's do it.
yeah, it's not syntax errors. It's placement of things in the document. It's description of like between 68 and 74. So
Oh, it's me. Oh, gosh.
Ms. Johnson said there's 2 pieces, the parking area and the deck area. She wondered if the board would consider the 2 separately. ZBA members agreed they would consider them separately. At that point, I would be more comfortable if you said Chair Dean clarified that we could consider 2 variances individually. And then you could say that the board voted to split the variances and had the
Yeah,
concurrence of the applicant.
I think the problem is that it's 2 pieces. I think we need to say that there are 2 sections of the requested variance. Then you know what we're talking about.
Now, they're 2 different variances.
Yeah.
So his application
And-
was 2 different variances.
Yeah, so remove 2 pieces and can you substitute for that?
No,
Ms.
I
Johnson,
think that's fine. I don't think you were,
just to make it clear that to say that there were 2 sections, that this request contained 2
Ms.
variances.
Johnson pointed out that there are actually 2 variances being requested, the
Yes.
parking area and the deck area.
That's what I'm saying, just
Yeah.
then it's just a little bit clearer.
Right, and then you can say that the board voted to consider the issues separately, or the board decided to consider the issues separately and
Earlier you had to say that you clarified what the 2 variances would be.
right, so Ms. Johnson pointed out that there are actually 2 variances, the parking area and the deck. The board concurs that there are 2 variances. The applicant agreed to have them considered separately. I think that would be sufficient.
So if it says ZBA members agreed they would consider them separately, and you've just said the applicant, you're adding that?
The applicant did.
Okay, but it doesn't say that in here,
That's why we go over the minutes,
right?
to correct factual
Right.
mistakes. And
So what I'm just saying is what you're saying is the correction is instead of where it says ZBA members agreed, you need to either add another sentence that says the applicant agreed.
I'm giving a different paragraph that I think more accurately reflects.
Okay.
what happened at the meeting. And it is that Mrs. Johnson pointed out that there are actually 2 variances being requested. Construction of a deck within the 50-foot shoreline buffer and the addition of a parking area within the side setback. That would be a great sentence to point out what she found. And then we could say that the ZBA, the board, with the concurrence of the applicant, decided to consider them as separate variance
Perfect.
requests. Does that work?
Yeah.
All right. Then after that, you've got to have the part where Ms. Brown withdrew her motion to grant the variance as requested. And then we can have Ms. Johnson moved to grant the variance for the parking area. And then down at 93-95, we don't restate that we move to grant the variances for the parking area. Instead, we just say the motion to grant the variance for the parking area was carried by a vote of 5-0. And I apologize for saying took the night off, even though it was suggested.
So you don't want the full motion to be restated, just my vote.
Yes.
Probably did the same thing. John, I'll usually do that on all of them, so. But not there, so it's very.
Yeah, we can't have we can't have Ms. Johnson moving to deny it, and then before there's a vote, having another motion put on the table for the same thing worded differently, so. You record the motion, and then there's discussion, and then you record the vote on the motion. That work? All right. I didn't go through all the rest of it carefully.
I did, and I
You didn't see
found
anything
my
else?
mistake that I marked, so it's. But I have a question for Rob. Remember along that road with Sugar Boulevard, we approved that the guy could tear down his house and put a new house?
Is this about tonight's business?
No, it's a
If it's not-
question, if you would just adjourn, I could ask my.
That would be great. Maybe you could hold your question until after the meeting.
Make a motion to
I
adjourn.
thought you
Do you guys
could.
want to vote on the minutes or no?
Yes, we need to vote on the minutes, and then we can entertain it.
To vote on the minutes as amended, to approve the minutes as amended.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're done.
Rob, that
Shoot.
guy that got permission to tear down his house on Shaker Boulevard,
This,
that's more than a year ago. And he still hasn't done anything. Is there a limit?
2 years.
Yeah,
2 years.
There is a limit.
I asked him what was going on and he
McIntyre?
explained to me, but I can't remember what he said. So,
Something
yeah,
about
next, I'm not really sure.
So he has
Uh,
2
It's
years
just
and then he
because
has
it's
to
something
come
that
back
we
to us?
talked about as a program to.
If he doesn't tear down his house within 2 years,
So
he
probably
can come back.
Correct, but
Okay.
you can start tearing it down.
You know, go
Was
forward.
it last year or year before?
It was last
Job
fall.
Or
Matt
what,
McIntyre, right? That
what
was
the
me.
McIntyre, yeah.
Is it
Or I
McIntyre? Yeah,
can't remember
okay.
quite
I don't
what
know.
it was, and now my brain is completely fried.
So
I thought it was there and haven't done anything.
That Heritage
And I thought, is there a limit?
is,
yeah,
they're in favor or something like
The
this.
Heritage Commission is in favor of me, and you could also come, we're meeting at the Heritage Commission, you can
Law number.
come, and if you want, you could talk to us, and we
Sure.
could
Yeah.
presumably say, we think it's a great idea,
Let's
you
go
know,
with
you can have a letter or something.
Right.
Rob, if that's
Would be longer than 2 years.
Because I-
before he
it's
built
like
that
say, it's a
mansion on
state
Pecos.
thing, and I can't remember whether we have to have it as an ordinance to
And
participate.
he got
in the program.
$465,000.
Uh,
And now my property's a place that it has.
my brain's fried. We can talk, I can look
Mine's
at,
too, almost.
I can look at it again
Almost there.
and see, and I don't know whether we really
It's not.
do